So here I've got a beautiful whole British Trout Association trout. This is a nice shiny rainbow. It's a biggie, right? If you caught that, you'd be pretty happy. But what on earth are you going to do with it? Well, there's a couple of different things you could do. You could cook it whole, you could take the fillets off. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how to cut it into steaks. A little bit old-fashioned maybe these days, but actually still a nice way to eat this fish, and very, very simple way to prepare it too, and that's the key. If we've got a big fish and we want an easy way to prepare it that's not as complicated as filleting, requires a bit less skill, then this is the way to go. I'm going to snip the fins off with a pair of scissors, and then I'm literally going to take the head off, and then I'm just going to chop down through the fish like that. Stout pair of kitchen scissors. You could use a sharp knife if you wanted to. I think it's probably a bit safer with a stout pair of kitchen scissors. And I get right down to the very base of the fin and just snip them off. And we'll do that, all the little fins around the place. It's just going to make it a bit nicer, a few less bones when we've cut off our steaks. Same on the other side, a couple on the other side to get. Like that. And then the next job will be to cut off the head. And now I'm going to take the head off. And I don't want to cut straight down, although it will result in a funny sort of shaped steak for the first cut. I don't want to waste the flesh here at the top of the head. So I'm going to cut directly towards the front of the fish on an angle so that I capture these little pieces of meat here. So that's pretty straightforward. Just go in at an angle, chase the knife all the way out, flip the fish over, repeat the process on the other side. Once you've done that, use the thick part of the knife down onto the spine of the fish, and just with a bit of weight behind it, drop down through the spine like that, and that'll take the head off. Put that to one side, use it for a stock. So now it's really just a case of slicing down through the fish, through the bone, out the other side. Now, I'm going to cut the first one quite short, but it's going to have a lot of flesh up the top because we've got that funny angle where we've cut the head off. But that's good, that means we're not wasting that flesh, and it'll be just as tasty. The fact that it's not straight doesn't really worry us too much. So once I'm there, I just take a nice firm grip on the fish. We get down to the spine, you're going to have to push through it with the knife, and then once you're through, slide it out like that. Take the first cut off like that, and immediately you can see where we're going. That classic cut through look for the fish steak. Try again, the next one. Now obviously as the fish gets narrower, we want to make the steaks wider so that we get fairer portions, or cut them nice and wide up here and then just make sure that you get a fillet or a steak from the top end. Simple. Now, obviously, we cut it into steaks, it's still going to have bones in it. Now, there's some disadvantages in that in terms of people are not that keen on having bones on their plate these days. But when a piece of fish arrives like that, very obviously got bone in it. I actually quite like it, the flavour of it, because you get some of the meat flavour from the bones going into the meat. So you get that sort of extra richness from it. Anyway, it's just a bit different. And then the last one here, I'm going to take quite a chunky one, because obviously as we get the fish narrower, the pieces get smaller. I'll probably leave that as just the last one. I'll take this, I'll probably cut the meat off there and use it for something else, or use it for a stock. There you go. One great big rainbow trout turned into steaks.